Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And let's kind of just get into it. I want to give you not exactly a formula, but a blueprint to help you in your relationships. Maybe finding a significant other, and managing it, making it work, seeing where it's not working. Um, and then, of course, I use occult science, Western mystery, because that's the education I was formally educated in. I went to a mystery school for 3 years, read a bunch of books, so put a magical hat on. There you go. Um, but the reality is, Western mystery teachings, they're kind of universal and have been found in all cultures and has found its way into art, books, movies, and even into our architecture and just the way we live our lives. So the mysteries aren't so mysterious, as we can take patterns and create personal meaning out of them, and also take these patterns and overlay it over the human body. We can take these patterns and overlay it over land masses, and we can find insights. These patterns, especially geometrical shapes, can be very useful in problem solving. So I present Western mysteries uh, not as a superstar, not as a major influencer, not as a guru and a Mr. Know It All. I'm trying to salt and pepper your food in a very grounded, down to earth, uh, comfortable way where you can take these insights without having to be a believer or a radical person. But the insights, they're universal in nature. So whatever career field you're in of the sciences, you may stumble across these things eventually over time. The good news is, because humans live in time, therefore procreate, we can pass these teachings down generation after generation, but also um, evolve these insights to service in the present moment, and even into the future. And so, honestly, actually, I'm going to probably grab the card. No, we all know what the Star of David looked like. It's the six-pointed star, the six-rayed star that you start using for planetary magic invocation. Okay, uh, but that's actually not. So, ritual magic was one branch of Western mystery tradition. It just so happens that a lot of people are really into the mystical, the magical side of Western mystery occult science, the science of studying the unknown. So you could call that the leading edge. And we use numbers, we use the formula is literally, the emerald tablets literally are and only is as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay? So, this is a universal concept that the greater uh, macro version of the cosmos is reflected in the miniature, the microcosm. So, the micro is the numbers, and it can, through mathematics, through geometry, we can start to gain insights of the greater macro version and the cosmos. So, cosmos actually fits in multidimensionality, the multiverse, okay? And the word universe actually is meant to fit multiverse. So we can kind of sometimes come up with new words that can be a little bit misleading. But cosmos literally is beyond universe. Like it's the universe of universe. It's all the universes fit in the cosmos. The cosmos is like beyond. And but anyways, we don't need to get into that so much. But this rudimentary phrase, axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, is the operating system. It is the formula that you mathematically dissect things or put things back together. Um, and then that's great. It is also used with the key. So a lot of people think the Ankh is the key, and there's petroglyphs of the key. The Ankh is the key. In Western mystery, it's actually the hexagram. The hexagram is the alchemist key. It's how you transmute, transform, and create things, repattern things, manipulate things. And so, if you so what is the hexagram and why is it the master key? You see, there is a triangle pointing up and a triangle pointing down. Okay, so it's like heaven and earth mirror and reflect each other, reversed images, upside down images. So, like the pyramid, it's moving up. That's the earth power, moving up. It's the ascension. But then its mirror reflection is heaven mirroring down, sinking, falling, coming down. And so, depending upon your perspective, um, your relative perspective, relativity, things are coming up, things are going down, things that are going down that you wish to come up. And so, ascension is really important. And the chakra system is universal, okay? And it's simple, it's basic, it's your spinal cord. And the chakra system as symbols can be superimposed upon your body and your spine. And it can measure, because science is measuring, uh, from birth till death. Birth being the tip of your tailbone, death being the top of your head, crown chakra. The beginning of it all, like, no mud, no lotus, that saying. Earth, the tip of your tailbone, that sacral region, can be the mud, and the flower grows and blooms, could be the crown. And so, so we can take symbols of nature, observations of nature, superimpose them onto the human experience, and come up with deep, meaningful insights. We can take patterns uh, is a way to see beyond the veil of the five senses of the world in time and space, where we experience the events played out in story form. Uh, so the reason why relationships are so dysfunctional is because people aren't following a natural pattern, the natural rhythm of life, the flow. And so, yin and yang, heaven and earth, you know, the logical, reasonable, rational, analytical, with the creative, abstract, natural, organic, um, artistic. When you put the two together, it opens your third eye. When you put the two together, it creates healing and homeostasis. When science and art come together, we literally get technology. With your imagination, you can create anything you want. And so the Renaissance was basically bringing religion, art, and science and philosophy together, and we get some of the most highly occult images available. Uh, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, the mysteries are laid before you. What are these mysteries but symbols? So, we're just going to throw it out there. Why is religion so messed up? Because it's taking the creative, artistic, abstract, organic side of life, and it's trying to make it linear, logical, rational, a systemized program, when that is not its nature by nature. Philosophy is much better at resolving that issue, and the issue has already been resolved with the Renaissance when we put it all together. So art is the glue that puts it all together. The science and art, like science can go with anything in an artistic, creative way. Technology can go with anything when we add art. Um, Art has the ability to fuse things that don't belong together together. So art brings revolution. Art brings evolution. So everyone has an artistic or creative expression. The universe by nature is creative. So you could literally say you're living in a holographic painting, you know, which is kind of the way I like to look at it. I'm I look at each day, like the sun and the landscape, as an amazing living painting that the universe is offering me. And then what's really interesting is the painting is so good, I step into the painting as well. And so we really start to understand matrix and simulation theory and all this stuff, that I think is devoid of the artistic living spirit of your existence. So, how does this relate to relationships? If we're still going to go down this path, because what you need to infuse life, you need to infuse love, you need to infuse what I call spirit words or soulful words versus the watered down, polarized, generic, low vibration, poor select words of everyday language. You can know where you're at by the type of words you're speaking. You know, how are you doing? Fine. How's your relationship? Fine. Honey, will you go get the newspaper? Why didn't you do this? See how flat and one dimensional those words are. Now imagine you're witnessing the most beautiful sunset or sunrise, and the air and the temperature is just right. And whoa, how was your day? Speechless. I'm in awe. It's so colorful. It's grand. It's wonderful. Honey, did you get the newspaper? It's a whole different way. So if the words don't change, the elevation, the inflections, the voice becomes melodious. Um, and it's a pleasure to hear instead of that one dimensional 3D version, black and white, very polarized, very flat, you know, monotone. So, soul and spirit words or frequencies are expressed through the inflections and the range you have in your voice, in your body language. In Western society, we kind of like restrict our body language. We restrict the range our voice has. So literally just by going and having some music lessons, uh, you could change your life just by adding more impactful, insightful words, poetic words. Um, you can really elevate and enrich your experience. And the byproduct of that is better relationships. So we started talking. I use the I use the chakra system uh, as kind of the roadmap because it clearly points things out towards the alchemy that we need to go through. So we have the root chakra, which is earth. We have the second chakra, I would guess I'd call it the sacral, the womb, water. Then we have the solar plex chakra, fire. Then we have the heart chakra, air. There's the four elements. When they're put together, it creates the alchemist star. And the alchemist star ends up becoming the symbol for the heart chakra. And then we move all on up. So I put the eye. The eye descends from cosmos to crown to third eye, crosses the bridge of the throat, and lands into the heart. Okay? So there's an eye. So, like the eye of God, basically. So, in spirituality, Eastern spirituality, they talk about who's witnessing. Like, to become aware that you are a perspective, to become aware that your life is a point of view. And your point of view then is how you interpret your experience. But basically, awareness, becoming aware that you are awareness itself. Like, things are happening to your life, things are happening to your body, the story is being played out. Someone's watching the show, and it's kind of formless. It's kind of consciousness itself. Um, and so that's how you kind of jump out of the story, the matrix, and your problems. Get a grip. So it becomes part of the master key. It's part of third eye development, truly. Becoming aware of being aware of awareness itself, of consciousness itself. It brings you to your true self, your I am presence, your being nature, beingness. So this is actually very key because it allows you to actually work magic, to actually create, to change things, to alter things from the perspective of awareness. So whatever you focus on, you get more of. Whatever you focus on is where your awareness is. And if you are awareness and you are consciousness, that's the stimulating energy and you are enlivening it. So if you're focused on a negative story that maybe a card reader has predicted for you, that's where your energy is going and that's what you're birthing. And so it's a different type of, a little bit complex, but we'll leave it like that. That was probably enough keys for the right people to go, and unlock their life right there. But let's move on. So I've had multiple spiritual awakenings. Don't need to brag about it. We all do. And they all have been salt and peppered throughout my life. I love taking the long journey of awakening. I enjoy the process, the nuances. I love seeing it from all the different angles and from all the different versions of myself and stages of my life. And, and sometimes they're spontaneous and emotional. Sometimes they're very visual. Sometimes it's just an energy hit of awareness, new level of consciousness. Um, but I've always had a very clear heart, and going through life, uh, humanity in its unconsciousness, in its state of individual forgetfulness and ego drivenness, um, I think we all get a whole bunch of garbage thrown at us, and it gets stuck in our aura, it gets stuck in our minds, it gets stuck in our hearts, and you can literally have energetic blocks that don't belong to you, that have been pushed upon you by a toxic environment and toxic people who have also had that happen to them. So it creates a state of forgetfulness or dis-ease. So I'm fortunate to have a clean heart that got dumped into and all messed up and then cleared out again. And so the hero's journey is another wonderful pattern of what we go through. We cycle. We return home to ourselves again and again and again. So I'm just going to throw it out there. We never return to heaven. We never return to source, but we return to the source within ourselves, and then we rise to a new octave, and then go on another journey out as we expand and expand and expand through the limitlessness. We never go home. We never go back to heaven. We never go back to God. The heaven and the God and the Eden we go back to is within ourselves. So I would like to say the universe in all its wisdom, in all its love, all its understanding is, well, you've never left me and you can't leave, really. So you're always in heaven, you're always with God. So there is no going home because you're already there, yes. But on this whole other level, I put it all inside of you, and you get to return to that. So what self-care is returning to your own inner source, your own inner light, your own inner heaven, your own inner Eden, your own inner divinity, your own God self. So because I put that all in you, you don't have to panic. You don't have to go on another journey that's not necessary. You don't have to be you don't have to wander in the desert for 40 years. You can just sit down, align yourself, and re-enter the kingdom. Here is the key. As above, so below, as within, so without. Here's the other key. The Star of David, or the Alchemist Star. It's the Alchemist Star because it has the four elements. It has earth and water, heaven pointing down, and it has fire and air, earth moving up. This is important. I mean, if you're going to play with this symbol in this elemental way to make it the alchemist star. So it unlocks as above, so below, as within, so without. But it also tells you magic is backwards. Reality is backwards. The magician flips that on its head and does things differently. When you do things differently, you get different results. You get, it's like in math. You want to do your math problem opposite, do it backwards to test it to see if it's true, to get the right answer. In algebra, what you do to one side, you do to the other side. And then it either gets down to a 1 or a 0, and then you've solved the problem. And so playing with symbols is a way to do it mathematically. I call it like folding space origami. But so here's the creative and the logical working together, which is what a wizard does. Mystics might stay and play. in the creative and the abstract and the organic. You know, the wizards also play in logic, reason, science, formula, pattern, order. And then we find out chaos is order, and order is chaos. So the yin and yang, the flip and the flop. And so people are in negativity, and the source of that is the lower chakras, everything below the heart. And negativity leads to lack consciousness. Imagine if you weren't living in lack consciousness, how differently you would act in your relationships. You wouldn't be seeking validation through what the other person does. You also, when other people are giving you feedback, whether it's approval or disapproval, it's not so impactful. You don't absorb it so much. It's more like, oh, well, thank you. You know, it's automatic protection from the external toxicity. And so and so when it also goes with exchanging things, so it goes into security, it goes into self-worth, it goes into possessions, resources, and and it also goes into overvaluing and undervaluing the other person. When, clinging, um, making them the center of your world. In your story of your life, you make that other person so significant, they become your whole world. They become your home. And you want to be with them 24 hours. You can't stand being separated. When you are full of yourself in a healthy way, when you're full of self appreciation, when you're uh, living your purpose, which is probably just to enjoy deeply your life and being alive, is pretty much where you start if you haven't found your life purpose or you're confused on what you should do. Uh, it's getting back to you first. And with that clarity, everything else falls into place. And so you find people lose that power you're giving them when you put them on pedestals as the big bad villain. Everyone knows the villain is way more powerful than the hero. Hence, there's a challenge to overcome, right? So when you do a hero villain dynamic, a good guy, bad guy, a right and a wrong, when you play in polarity like that, you've actually unconsciously given all your power away and put you in a negative state. And then you're like, oh, I need to work hard, or dang, they're so powerful, or I can't, they're, it's a huge obstacle. Uh, so power dynamics in relationships happen because you over and undervalue someone. When we're all equal potentials, we're all just mere reflections. Why would the reflection be so much? Another version is, why would the reflection be more powerful than you when you're the one sourcing the projection? So I am consciousness, I am being, I am presence, I am the one, automatically start to align and fix everything. But we usually just don't arrive at that knowledge, you know? So, uh, I call it playing life below the belt. It's a cheap shot. So, when you look at all the haters, when you look at all the people who are getting emotionally embroiled with you, making you so important, uh, and this can happen in a positive way, uh, where you see someone's like a guru and they put them at God status, and just getting a pat on the head and a touch from them becomes a life-changing experience. They haven't understood projection of a mother and a father figure, the projection of God into someone else. They're seeing their own reflection. And So, in order for energy to move, there has to be a circuit. That means you're involved with it. So, it's inescapable, uh, whoever you're interacting with, that you're not creating an energy circuit with them. And so, the chakra system is the energy circuit of heaven and earth, and man is in between heaven and earth creating this circuit. So, we go right into Taoist magic, philosophy, uh, but we go into all that Eastern stuff with these concepts: as above, so below; as within, so without. You can use this all to your advantage. So we really kind of jumped through the lower chakras and went straight to mindfulness. So in all this, I call it Andy Warhol spiritual popularity. So Andy Warhol made artists fashionable. He wanted to make them like movie stars. That was the whole movement. And so what also kind of came out of that was the David Bowie experience, where he was kind of a bridge of this concept of art, movie star, and rock star, blurring it all together. What we see like on YouTube and other social media platforms is now kind of like making mediums and spiritual people and shamans superstars. You know, we call them major influencers, and we all go on a journey with them to the pyramids and whatever. And we watch them play out the archetype of shaman. We watch them be the spiritual mouthpiece. But you are too, and just as much. And so, this is the beauty of being you. This is the beauty of your own journey. That at any time, you can pull out the archetype of the lover. You can pull out the archetype of the wise man or woman. You can pull out the archetype of the alchemist and the magician, and you can play that and be the star in your own movie, in your own life, and in your own relationships. And the spiritual anatomy, the energetic anatomy, the computer program of the hologram is your chakra system. And so it's a great way to objectively look at things that are sometimes seemingly organic and don't abstract to you. So you can use very practical shapes, symbols, and patterns as roadmaps to help understand situations, plot out new territory, as a trail, and navigate these experiences in creative ways. So there's mass consensus, and you don't have to follow that mass consensus, and you will have a breakthrough and a revolution. So this video is running